My name is Leonard Toenjes. I'm president of Associated General Contractors of Missouri, or AGC of Missouri. I really got into construction very early in my life when I was 19 and became a carpenter apprentice. And I began as a carpenter apprentice, worked residential and commercial construction for about 10 years. And I was hired by the apprenticeship program in St. Louis to become an instructor. I worked as an instructor for a little while, and the program I was working for needed some curriculum development. So I was tapped to do some curriculum development for the training program. I moved from being a curriculum developer to being the director of the Carpenter's Apprentice program. Did that for a number of years, and then became director of apprenticeship and training for AGC of St. Louis. That broadened my scope to be the director of training for ironworkers, cement masons, operating engineers, laborers, and the carpenters. I often think about how many lives I've had the opportunity to touch that I'll never know about, but it is very rewarding to know that somewhere somebody has a better life because of construction. I think my experience in both residential and commercial construction has really been a benefit. We represent now building contractors who do all the vertical building. We represent horizontal contractors that do roads, bridges, all those sorts of transportation needs, and then also represent utility contractors who do power systems, power lines, sewers. I think everybody looks at construction from a niche of what they see, but I think my experience has allowed me to look at all the different ways of construction, how it does impact everybody's lives, whether it's going to school, whether it's waking up in the morning, whether it's turning on the lights in the morning, whether it's going to hospital, whether it's taking a train, whatever it may be. I think the most challenging part of learning to read prints is really taking a two-dimensional piece of paper or computer screen and turning it into a three-dimensional model or a three-dimensional concept. The architect really works to take that three-dimensional concept and define it in terms of more conventional aspects of lines, symbols, numbers, all those sorts of things. The challenge of reading prints is taking it and reversing that process and taking what's on those lines, drawings, symbols, and turning that back into a three-dimensional concept. But really the challenge of print reading is taking that piece of paper and turning it back into something physical. It's gone from concept to convention to physical, and making that last transition from a concept to physical is really the challenge of print reading. I think the biggest mistake that people make when they're trying to do a construction estimate is not including everything that goes along with the estimate, whether it's the object itself, the costs of installation, the cost of transportation, the overhead that goes along with it. If I know a door costs $350 for the physical door, say, okay, here's a door, $350, I need 5 of them, I'll take 350 times 5. That's great, perfect. That's what the door costs. How much is it gonna cost me to transport that door to the job site? How much is it gonna cost me to get that installed? How much is it going to cost me to have the overhead of the ordering? How much is the insurance of getting the door there? How much is the inspections going to cost me to make sure that that door meets all the requirements? How much insurance do I have to have? All those overhead costs and the hidden costs are really the biggest problem with estimating. A lot of estimators fail because they will estimate the cost of the material, maybe put some overhead on it, but not really understand all the hidden costs that go along with developing a comprehensive estimate. I think for people really looking to become better estimators, it's taking a comprehensive view of the entire project. But I think really looking at the whole structure, how am I going to get that thing there? When does it have to be there? How does that fit in with the rest of the construction processes that are going on? Is the ceiling going to be in place? Is the wiring going to be in place? Are there going to be stairs to get it there? Do I need to have a crane to get it there? Do I need a lift? Is the elevator going to be operating? I think taking a comprehensive view of the entire project really turns you from a good estimator to a great estimator. One of my favorite contractors, the name of his company is HWP Enterprises. And I asked him one time, I said, how did you come up with that name? He said, it's easy, hard work pays. That's the way I look at construction. Hard work pays. In this industry, you are rewarded for how much you put back into it. And I think if you live by those three words and add HWP underneath it, I think you're going to go a long way in this industry. Communication in construction has never been more important. We have more and more different types of people entering the industry. The building has to be built right. The structure has to be done safely. It has to be done according to code. It has to be done according to what the owner wants, according to what the prints show. And without a common terminology, without everybody from all these diverse backgrounds, all the diverse trades, having a common set of terms, it's impossible to get the project done properly. So having everybody working from a common base ends up with a successful project. I think a superintendent on a job has a very difficult job. I think that a superintendent not only has their own employees, but they have a lot of subcontractor employees. They have a lot of people coming from a lot of different trades and a lot of different contractors and a lot of different folks, whether it's a delivery person, whether it's a subcontractor, whether it's a plumber, an electrician, a brick mason, whatever it may be. It's just as important for the craft workers also, because they have to work together also. No one trade, no one person works by themselves throughout a construction project. So being able to be part of that team and communicate with the team is critical. And that resource provides a good way to make that transition from where I am to where the other person is. I've really been challenged on an ongoing basis to make sure that I stay current. There are certainly the personal rewards also of knowing that when I get a report about how many books have been sold or how many units are in distribution. Every one of those is being used by someone who is building a career. Every one of those is being used by some young person or middle-aged person or old person who is trying to become better at the construction industry. Well, I think about 7th or 8th grade is when young people decide what they don't want to do. They don't necessarily know what they do want to do, but they decide what they don't want to do. So having that exposure early in my life helped keep it on the table, that it wasn't a bad thing, it was still there. I think when people look at a construction career, they'll see a person standing out on the highway, or they'll see people waiting for a concrete truck or people putting on a roof. And they understand the physical aspects of it. I don't know that people understand the cognitive abilities that construction workers need. I think one misconception people have about construction is that it's all physical and not mental. There is a lot of cognitive capacity that is needed to be a successful construction worker. You need to know math. You need to know how to read complex drawings. You need to know how to look at different aspects around you to make sure that you're safe. Construction is very complex. It's a much more complex system than it used to be 100 years ago when I was sawing down logs and stacking them up. So having the strength is one thing, but having the cognitive ability is another thing. So that blend of physical capacity and cognitive capacity is what I think a lot of people don't understand about this career. It's always been great to work with American technical publishers. I've worked with a lot of different companies over the years, and the quality, the integrity, I talked about skill, integrity, and responsibility earlier. I found those to be in the fabric of this company from the first day I started working with them.